This is by far my best month ever publishing on Amazon KDP. How much did I earn? Stay tuned to find out. So for me in November, I really started to see the impact of those Q4 sales. That's basically people buying books as gifts to give to friends and family. So let's get started and see how many books we sold in November and more importantly, how much money we made. So taking a look back at the last few months, we had a steady level of orders and income throughout July, August and September. And then as soon as October came, those Q4 sales started hitting in, as well as some of the new books that I released started to perform quite well. But the growth in October was really promising and I was hoping that that would continue into November. And so in October, our profit was just under $700 and we had over 600 orders. And so the hope for me was in November that would keep on increasing. Let's see what happened. So for November, I set myself some goals. As we were approaching the holiday season, I wanted to make sure that I was creating some Christmas themed books, or at least books that could be gifted at Christmas. I set myself an aim of publishing 6 books within the month. I wanted to publish 8 Etsy listings as well to try and get my shop on there moving a little bit. And then in terms of the book orders, I set myself a goal of achieving 650 book orders and 1 Etsy order. And then I also set myself a goal for this month of achieving $650 in profit. And as you can see here, I'm happy to say that I achieved all of those goals. In November, I published 6 books. I spent most of the first half of the month producing a high content book that I was working on, which was my mid-journey prompt guide. And then on top of that, I also released a colouring book, 2 word search books, and then 2 puzzle books. Within my Etsy shop, I managed to upload 9 new listings. One of them sold straight away, which is really promising. They were all pre-made book covers for various genres. And then on this channel on YouTube, I received over 73,000 views, which is a huge increase on last month. And we're now up to 11,805 subscribers. So if you enjoy this content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. So now we've covered all of that, how many books did I actually sell in November? Let's find out. In November, we sold 1,549 books, a huge number of orders, and by far the biggest month I've ever had on Amazon KDP. And what's amazing about this as well is that you can see the growth continue throughout the month. So towards the beginning of November, we were probably getting between 20 and 30 orders a day. And then moving to mid-November, this was increasing to around 50 orders a day. And then towards the end of the month, it even got up to 100 orders in a single day. Now that growth is amazing to see. Some of that is down to me creating new books. Some of it's down to launching books effectively using advertising. But then I think a large portion of it is probably due to the Q4 demand for books. So fingers crossed, going into December, those orders will continue to rise. And that December video is going to be very, very interesting. In terms of where we were getting the sales, this was the first month where the United Kingdom took over the United States. And that's because some of my word search books are based in the UK and they've been performing really, really well for me. But as you can see here, out of the 1,500 odd orders, the vast majority are from the UK and the United States. All but 6 sales are paperback, and those 6 ebook sales are either going to be my mid-journey prompt guide or some of my high fiction that I've written previously. And this is quite a fun thing to show you. So I've currently got 82 books out there and 10 of them account for 85% of my sales. As you can see from the graph, that blue bar is driving so many sales. And that's an AI generated colouring book for adults. I'm going to do a case study video on that soon, so make sure to stay tuned to the channel. But looking at something like this, I think is really important because it shows that just having one book can drastically increase your sales. And moving forward, that's what I'm going to be trying to do. I'm going to be trying to find those single books that can drive up the orders, drive up the income. Let's look at what that looks like compared to previous months. So looking here, you can see there was a big boost in October, but the boost to November was massive. Will that rise continue into December? I really, really hope so, but we won't know till we get there. So now we've looked at how many books I've sold, we need to look at what that looks like in terms of dollars and pounds. My income from these book sales for the month of November, after Amazon had taken their cut, was $3,028.90. So that number to me is absolutely fantastic, and the growth from October to November is huge. And if you told me a few months ago that I would be making over $3,000 in a single month on Amazon, I wouldn't have believed you. So if you're not at this figure yet, hopefully this gives you some inspiration and some hope that if you keep going, you can reach these types of figures on Amazon and even beyond. Looking at my top 5 books, that AI generated colouring book was my bestseller and got almost $1,000 for me in November. Below that, 3 out of those 4 books are word search books based in the UK. And then the other one is an activity book for kids. So there's 1 colouring book, 1 activity book, and 3 word search books in my top 5. Now, making over $3,000 in a month on Amazon is fantastic, but it means nothing if I've also spent $3,000 on ads. So let's look at how much I spent in November. So in the US, I drastically decreased my spend in November. And that was because a lot of the ads just weren't profitable. And one of the key lines here to look at is that dark green line. That is the ACoS, which basically reflects how much profit we're making on the sales. So the lower that green line, the better. And as you can see, from the beginning of the month, that green line was very, very high. That means that none of my ads were profitable or anywhere near profitable. And then as we approach the middle of the month, that ACoS line has got a lot lower and it continues to go lower to the end of the month. Then what also happened was towards the end of the month, I released some new puzzle books and they launched really, really well and drove a lot of sales. So I'm really happy with the progress for my US ads, but I think I can still tweak it and get that ACoS down to maybe around 20 to 25%. And then moving to the UK, we drove a ton of orders from our ads. And what's amazing about this is that they were all profitable. So the ACoS throughout the month was below 15%, and my average profitable ACoS is around 19 or 20%. So in the UK, we spent £271. That's just over $300 on ads in the UK. But for that amount, we managed to drive 306 orders. And whilst we might not make too much money on all of those orders, by selling more books, we're going to sell more books organically. So you might ask why and how that works. Well, basically, the Amazon algorithm favours things that are selling. So for some of these books that are selling, we're now ranking for keywords organically, and we're also being recommended in that also bought section as well. So the UK ads absolutely smashed it this month, and fingers crossed that continues to December. Looking at Canada, we only spent 15 Canadian dollars and we got 1 order. So not a great month for Canada, but I'm spending a relatively low amount of money in Canada, and that kind of tends to fluctuate. So I might need to adjust that into December, but I'm not too concerned about it. And then in Australia, we only spent 41 cents, but we managed to get 3 sales. Now, if you ask me how I did that, it was basically luck. That was using a single lottery ad in Australia with a very low bid. And somehow we managed to get 3 sales from 1 click, which is just crazy. So overall, my advertising for the month looks like this. I received 1,842 clicks, which is loads more than last month. I spent $584 on ads, which is definitely more than last month, but it's not a crazy amount of increase for the amount of extra clicks that we got. And then I received 384 orders through the ads. Now that's a huge improvement on last month. And what's even nicer to see is that in November, that only accounts for 8.6% of my total sales. That means over 90% of my sales now are coming organically. And that is absolutely incredible and gives me hope that these types of sales can continue. Now we can do the maths on that and work out that our estimated cost per sale using ads is a little over $1.55. That's down from $3.50 last month, so the tweaking of the ads that I've done has really, really worked. Now let's put all of that together and see how much profit I made in November. I received a little over $3,000 in income. I spent $584 on ads. My expenses is pretty much just my Mid-Journey account, which is $36 for the month. That means my take-home profit for November is $2,408. If you're in the UK, that's approximately £1,900. Now, that is absolutely incredible, especially considering where I was at in October. This is the type of level that I wanted to get to when I set out on my journey. And the fact that I'm here now in November of 2023 is absolutely incredible. Now what I need to do is try and maintain this and continue to grow it. If you want to see how I get on with that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and follow my journey. Taking a little step back, we can see the month-to-month growth. And you can see, just comparing it back to August of this year, where we made $185 on our sales, we've gone from that to making $2,408. So as you can see, there's a huge level of growth on my Amazon account. Now I've put some thoughts together on how I've achieved that. Probably one of the most important things is that I turned off ads that weren't working, tweaked the ads that were, and then dialed up the ones that were profitable. That meant that I was wasting less money on ads that just weren't profitable for me. I also pivoted away from just making colouring books, and I also created some word search books and some puzzle books. And then part of it is probably out of my hands, and that's a huge increase due to people starting to buy gifts. However, what I do think I've done well here is that a lot of my books are targeted towards a certain area of interest, and so they can easily be bought as gifts for people passionate about that area. So fingers crossed, after Christmas, those books will continue selling for things like birthday gifts or just random presents. Moving into December, my main goal is to just keep doing what I'm doing. It's obviously working and I just need to keep going. I've set myself the same aim again of publishing 6 books. I also want to ramp up my Etsy shop a little bit by adding 10 new listings, and I want to make sure that I'm adding at least 6 new videos this month for you guys. And then I have set myself a huge target for December. Now this is very, very optimistic, but I am aiming for 5,000 book orders in December. Now that's a huge number and I don't know if we can achieve anywhere near that, but if we continue growing at the same rate, we're going to get close. I'd also like to make 2 sales on Etsy. The shop's still very young at the moment, but every sale counts. And then overall, I'm hoping that I'm going to make over $3,500 in profit. Will we achieve all of those goals? You'll have to tune back in next month to find out. Okay, so overall, I think you can all agree that November was an absolutely fantastic month. Back in July and August of this year, I was making $100 to $200 a month selling books on Amazon KDP. But I wasn't put off, I kept going, and I kept focusing on creating good quality books. So I hope that this video was inspirational and helps you realise that yes, Amazon KDP is saturated, but you can still make money selling books on Amazon. I also want to hear from you. How many sales did you make in November? Drop a comment below. Okay, thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.